My name is Rueben Mayes, and I have been in fundraising for over 20 years. I'm a student athlete. I was a student athlete at Washington State University from 1982 to 1986. And then I played 7 years in the pros, 5 for New Orleans and 2 for Seattle. And so today, what I want to talk with you about is fundraising and erasing the fear of fundraising. I can guarantee you, all of you will be involved in fundraising of some kind in your lifetime. In some sort of civic organization, for United Way or for the Rotary, to raise some money for a camp, to send someone someplace overseas. You'll always be involved with asking for money in some way. That is the number one thing that scares people. Is that correct? Well, after 20 years doing fundraising in higher ed and in healthcare, as well as playing in the NFL, I want to dispel some of the horrors of asking for money. This wonderful art and science where folks who give can give joyfully, and you can be a part of that. And so what I want to start with is there's seven keys to successful fundraising. And yes, it is a contact sport, and I'm going to talk about that later on in my talk. So first of all, I want to share there's really 3 tenets that are important in fundraising. One is you're really matching the needs of the donor with the needs of the organization. So one of the things that people think when they go and talk to someone and ask them to join with them, asking for money, they think, oh man, I got to ask for money. What if I get rejected? What if they say no? What if they scream and say, I can't believe you're asking me for money? And you run out of the room, and they throw their coffee on the floor, and they can't believe you've done that. Well, the first and foremost thing you have to understand, one of the tenets is you're asking on behalf of the organization, and that's very important to understand. You're a part of a process. You're part of a case for support. And so it's not about you. And I learned that a long time ago, and I'm going to talk about that later on in my talk and through my NFL experiences. Number 2, philanthropy is not a logical thing. On the scale of 10 things why people give, the tax deduction is number 7, okay? The tax deduction is number 7. But it's an emotional transaction. As a student, when you're going and watching a football game and you meet your professor in Safeway and you've had a great time after a class or on the weekend and you're reflecting back on all those exciting moments and experiences, and then someone asks you to give to a scholarship fund. Someone asks you to give to a professorship or to an endowment. And so that's an emotional thing, and that emotion never goes away. Or you could be from a hospital. You could be a grateful patient. It saved your life. It saved your son's life, your daughter's life. Those emotions are the things are where philanthropy are. It's not illogical. It's not logical to give $1 out of your pocket to something where you get nothing in return, okay? Number 3, in order to raise money, you have to have a goal. And really what fundraising is defined set of meetings in defined time period, point A to point B in a series of meetings. And that's really important. You have to have a plan. So these are my 3 tenets. And so we're going to hop right into the 7 areas. Number 1, commitment. Commitment. That's a very serious word, commitment. Because when you're out there fundraising, you think about, okay, I'm representing as a volunteer, going out and asking for money, and on behalf of an organization. That organization has to be committed to the long haul. So that could be in terms of personnel, it could be in terms of equipment, it could be in terms of the strategic plan. And so there needs to be a commitment from you and from the organization that they will not change their plans. Now, I've raised millions of dollars in fundraising, and one of the things that I've learned and experienced of organizations that have changed their mind midstream, and that's not a very good thing. You've asked someone for $10,000, and you've raised $1 million, $20 million. This happened to me. I asked someone for $10 million. They gave me $10 million, and the organization midstream said, you know, we don't want to do that anymore because of the economic climate. So we're going to change our plan, and we're going to go a different direction. And so, not very good thing in terms of building trust with the donor, correct? So you have to have long-term commitment, a commitment from the organization, a commitment from you. You should give before you ask someone else to give, okay? And that's what I mean by that. I love this quote by Peter Drucker: "Unless commitment is made, there are only promises and hopes, but no plans." So commitment is very important. Number 2, a case for support. Now, we make cases every day. We make a case to buy a bike, to buy a new television. If you're married, if you've been married a long time, like me, I've been married for 26 years, I'm constantly making a case for support. Hey, can I go and buy this thing that I really would love to have? Now I'm thinking about all the benefits and the urgency to have this thing. And so it's no different in fundraising. Now, in this case, you have to have a plan, a business plan, like you're building a school or you're building a hotel. And so first it starts with a plan that typically comes from the organization. Second, you have to have a fundraising plan, and that involves a list of people who you're going to ask and how the process is going to be, how you're going to recognize folks. So all that has to be done beforehand. A lot of times we fire, aim, shoot, all those different things, right? We do it all wrong. Ready, aim, fire, right? Ready, aim, fire. And so a case for support is very important before you even begin to think about going out and asking for money. Local impact. This is very important. I have no desire to give to an organization or a bank account in New Jersey. I live in Washington State. Now, there's lots of great organizations out there, global organizations, but, they'll come through the community and for a great cause, but the most powerful case and key to fundraising is local. Imagine the mom raising money for a summer camp for Johnny and Susie and others to go, say it's for math, and they're going to go and learn some things in this camp. Well, that's local impact. You're going to see the local impact of those kids coming back in the fall and going to class and doing better in the school, having teamwork and leadership and all those different things that are going on. So local impact is very important. That is the most compelling. And so I highly recommend, in terms of one of the 7 keys, that when you're thinking about fundraising, think about local impact. Number 4, we've got to measure what we do. Go back to the example of the summer camp, the math camp. And what exactly did the students learn from high school? Did they learn algebra? How are they going to use those skill sets in the fall? Did they learn teamwork? So when you're going out and you're asking folks in terms of, would you please give me $1 to help some young men and women go to a camp, a summer camp this summer, and come back in the fall, what are the measurable outcomes? What is that going to look like? Number 5, it seems pretty intuitive, but how the money will be spent. Now, this actually occurs a lot in larger organizations. If you're representing a fundraising project that is much larger than just trying to raise $10,000, how will the money be spent? Very important that you articulate that. Is it going to go to operations? Is it going to go to scholarships? Is it going to go to an endowment that pays 4% every year? Very important to understand that you need to articulate how the money will be spent so people can track that. It also will talk to something I'm going to talk about later on in terms of stewardship, and we'll get to that. Now, I'm going to spend most of my time on the next topic, which is what we're all here for in terms of the fear of fundraising, and that is asking for money. Asking for money. The number one thing what people are fearful of. Now, I talked about I played in the NFL for 7 years, and there's a couple experiences I want to share with you how this kind of really enabled me to be able to enjoy the experience of asking for money. One is, my makeup is like an accountant. I'm like a guy very organized and detailed and everything. And so I would train very hard as an NFL player in the off season. I'd train extremely hard. And I'd check off my workouts and lift my weights and everything. And then I'd get to preseason in the football game. I can guarantee you when the ball is snapped, you have no control. It's things happen. And I took that experience from the NFL that the reality is that there's 1,000 reasons why people will give. There's 1,000 reasons why people will not give. and you absolutely have no control over that. You have no control. And what most people do is to try to overthink it. The second experience that I took from the NFL is ambiguity. Oops. Ambiguity. And, it was a fearful situation. And you can imagine as a rookie coming into the Saints, New Orleans Saints, and sitting there and trying to really fit in and learn the plays, and you're at the pinnacle of your athletic career. It was a fearful thing. And, you're trying to embrace that. You're working hard, trying not to make mistakes on the field. And I realized from that experience that you need to embrace ambiguity in that environment. And what that means is that it's always going to work out. When you're sitting down with somebody and you're asking them for money, you think, oh man, maybe they got divorced, or maybe they have no money, maybe these different things that are going on. And the reality is that people appreciate the fact that you've asked them to join into something that's bigger than you are, and that it's always been positive. And I've done this hundreds and hundreds of times. And I want to encourage you that is one of the biggest things in terms of fears. You've got to embrace the ambiguity of it and not think too much about it, but just do it. Just do it. So some other things that I encourage you to do, along with asking for money, is know your campaign objectives, making your gift to the campaign as soon as possible. Explain why you are volunteering. Ask for a specific amount. Think about this scenario. It's John, we're good friends, and we got this project we're doing. We're going to send some kids down to South America. It's for experience where they can do some building in some of the outlining areas. And I would like you to consider a gift. Whatever you can do would be fine. And we're just excited to have you be available and be considering a gift to what we want to accomplish. Thank you so very much for taking the time to meet with me. Versus, John, we're going to be sending some kids to South America to be working on some construction projects in some outlining areas. It's a huge need. It's going to really have an impact on the lives of these kids. And you've been such a generous donor to the organization. Would you consider $10,000 to help us build 4 huts that will provide covering and shelter for 5 families? Would you consider that? The second one is a lot more powerful, isn't it? So asking for a specific amount is very important. Emphasize what the gift will accomplish, which I just did, and ask your prospect to stretch to the highest level of giving possible. And I love this one. So, when you're asking for a gift, especially major gifts, you always want to ask pretty high. You don't want to under-ask, and I've done this many times. You've done the wrong thing when you've asked someone for an amount of money and say, oh, yes, I can do that. Pull out their checkbook, and they write the check for you, and it's a done deal. But what I really like is when they got to ponder. They go, wow, that's quite an amount there. We really got to step back. I got to talk to my spouse about this, and we really got to consider doing this gift. But I really believe in what you're raising money for. We have the capacity, but we got to look at all of our assets and everything, and I'll get back to you. That's perfect. You don't want to under-ask, okay? Now the last one is stewardship. There's a fundamental thing for human beings that I've learned over 20 years. People like to be seen. People really like to be seen. Now, you may have someone says, I want to be anonymous, and please don't type my name out there. I don't want to see it on a plaque. And what they're really telling you is, I want to be seen in some way, because I'm going to make a gift here. People like to be seen and recognized. And so thanking people over and over again is very important. In the profession that I'm in terms of fundraising, they say you should thank people 7 times. 7 times. Emails, letters, public recognition at events, all these different things that are important. Because you think about it, someone's giving you discretionary funds of their hard-earned money over and above a mortgage payment, over and above money for their kids in college, over and above a lot of things. Of all the things out there that people could give to, the United Way, the Red Cross, World Vision, World Concern, they're going to give to you. and they're going to joyfully give to you. The least we can do is to thank them and thank them over and over again. And that's really the joy of giving. So I wanted to encourage you and let you know that after this talk today, that you're going to all go out and you're going to join up for a civic organization or as someone in your fraternity or sorority or in your community, and there's a fundraising project. You will know the 7 keys that are so important. Commitment, committing to it, first making a gift yourself. The case for support. The local impact, what is that going to be? How the money's used, measurable outcomes. Asking for the gift. That's the most important part. Working through your fear, working through that ambiguity, embracing it, and just doing it. I guarantee you it'll be a positive experience for you. And finally, stewardship. So thank you very much, and I hope you were encouraged by my talk today.